I would like to start off by asking you, what is the current state of the negotiations with the Russian Federation?
Well, as the battle in Donbas, the Russian offensive in Donbas is underway, Russia leaves very little space for negotiations. However, we remain open to continue our discussions, and video conferences at the level of experts of both delegations, they take place every 2 days. But they discuss minor details. No big talks are taking place. We are ready to engage in them, but as I said, Russia is conducting a large-scale offensive in Donbas.
What's the main issue about the negotiation of the Donbas? I mean, are you negotiating peace or also the retreat of the Russian troops?
It goes without saying that Russian troops must leave Ukrainian territory. This is not even a point for negotiations. This is one of the starting points of Ukrainian position. There are no compromises that we will be making about that. The talks in principle are focused on the following issues. First, the end of the war and the circumstances or the conditions that have to be met for the withdrawal of Russian forces. Second, what will be the future of relations between Ukraine and Russia? Of course, Russia has its own demands. We have our own vision and proposals. The difference is this: Russia approaches these talks with ultimatums. We insist that we will only agree to mutually acceptable solutions.
Minister, what are the findings of the Ukrainian government regarding war crimes perpetrated in Ukrainian territory? And can you give us an estimation of casualties, both civilian and military, for Ukraine?
Russian atrocities committed in Ukraine since the beginning of the war are the darkest page of this conflict. We lose soldiers every day. We lose civilians every day. Every day, Russian army destroys houses, sometimes entire villages, and this causes a lot of pain. But this pain is uncomparable to the suffering that we are going through because of the atrocities committed by Russian army. Only around Kiev, in towns and villages around Kiev, we found 1,085 bodies of civilians who had been deliberately tortured and killed. We learned what the word mass grave means, because the Russians were putting the civilians that they had killed in mass graves. Many of them were found with their hands tied behind their backs, and they were shot in the head. So it was not an accident, it was a deliberate murder. But take Mariupol, the city that we have no access to, the city that has been destroyed by 95%. It was, before the war, it was a city of 500,000 people. And it's unimaginable even to estimate how many civilians had been killed, tortured, raped in this city by the Russian army.
Do you think that in the future, regardless of the result of the war, Putin is going to be prosecuted due to those crimes?
Ukraine wants to set up an ad hoc, a special tribunal to prosecute the crime of aggression committed by the Russian leadership. We do it because the International Criminal Court has no jurisdiction to try the crime of aggression. The rest of crimes, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the crime of genocide will be tried by the International Criminal Court. International justice takes time, but I have no doubts that in the end we will bring to responsibility not only the perpetrators of these crimes, soldiers and officers, but also their commanders and those who had given orders to them, up to the leadership of Russia. They have to bear responsibility for throwing the world into the nightmare of the Second World War when mass civilians killings occurred.